So the Motorola Razr is back, but it looks a little different than it did 10 years ago. I'm Jason Cipriani with Jason Perlow. This is Jason Squared, and today we're going to talk about the new foldable display Motorola Razr that we're going to see all over the place next year. So Jason, I was in LA last week and when Motorola unveiled the new Razr, which is kind of what they're calling it, and I had some time to spend, I had a chance to spend some time getting my hands on the device itself. And we'll get to exactly what that is here in a few minutes, but let's cover kind of the basics of what the new Razr is and some of the specifications.
So of course, Jason, as you know, in evoking the previous product, which and I love the original Motorola Razr.
Who did it?
I love the flip phone, which of course was a follow-on to the original flip phone, the Motorola StarTAC, which of course sounded like Star Trek. In fact, they had Star Trek people promoting. It might have been William Shatner or a couple of the others that they had during the promotional of that original phone. But the Razr was the follow-on to the StarTAC. It is an iconic industrial design.
Yep.
Incredibly pocketable. Had great battery life. Was probably one of the best pure cell phones I ever had. So it was incredibly popular. People loved it. It was really a Gen X iconic product. Really, people of my generation really loved it. And I don't think I ever had a better pure cell phone since. I mean, the Nokia candy bar probably comes close in terms of usability, but the Razr was my absolute favorite. Now, that being said, the new device is completely different. It is a full-blown Android phone with a OLED folding screen display. Similar technology that what is used on the Galaxy Fold, but they did it correctly. They actually designed the hinge mechanism correctly. They handle the air gap correctly with when the thing flexes, it's hidden in the chassis, and you don't see this. It's just the industrial design that the Motorola engineers, they have to be commended for the industrial design in terms of how they put it together. They did a fantastic job. Now, there are certain aspects of this phone that I really wish they had not cut corners on. I wish they went with a faster Qualcomm processor than the Snapdragon 719 that they use. It's somewhat underpowered. 6 gigabytes of RAM, which I think is also too small for an Android device in this day and age. The battery is 2,510 milliamp hours, which is also somewhat underpowered considering the type of device. Single real camera with no optical zoom or widescreen capability, but decent, focal length f1.7, so it should be fairly decent in low light. Fingerprint reader as opposed to the facial recognition, which given the form factor is probably appropriate that way. Secondary screen for seeing small notifications, and I think you actually can do a lot with the smaller screen. You could definitely use Google Assistant and other things.
You can.
Common, the common types of stuff. I mean, very Star Trekky. Hey Google, beam me up to the spaceship type of stuff, which is fine for what it's supposed to be used. My major issue is the price point.
Sure. Yeah,
it's an early adopter. That's early adopter pricing, big time.
Yeah, but here's the deal. You just ran through the spec sheet, and it is a mid-tier phone with a premium phone price.
Yeah.
But the technology is new, and honestly, I get why Motorola priced the phone at $1,500 and didn't use the latest Qualcomm processor. We're not going to see the phone until January. It goes on pre-order the day after Christmas. It's an exclusive in the US to Verizon, which even further limits who it's going to be.
Very, very much limits the market. I really wish they had done some direct sale with this, but that's.
Yeah, I wish there was an unlocked model, but that's a bigger risk for them to take on something that foldable displays aren't really proven quite yet, right?
No.
Galaxy Fold had its share of issues with their technology. Huawei had to delay the Mate X, and right now it's only available in China. So there was issues they had to work out there. But what I think is smart about what Motorola is doing is they did put mid-tier specs in it. They made it a little bit more affordable than the $2,000 price point of the Galaxy Fold. So only really hardcore early adopters are going to use it. But the most
Ultra
important,
executive, ultra sleek executive types that really want to impress people.
yeah,
When they buy
exactly.
this thing. Yeah.
And and when I saw pictures of this phone prior to launch, that a couple had leaked, and it looked very tall and long. Instead of opening up, as a friend put it the other day, instead of opening up like a hot dog bun, it folds like a hamburger bun. And so
Yeah.
it folds horizontally instead of like a book would for the Galaxy Fold. And I thought, man, that's going to be way too tall. It's going to be awkward to use. It's just going to be really weird. But during my hands-on time, the moment I picked it up, it made complete and total sense. The phone folds in half, so it's very pocketable. It slides in your phone just like it slides into your pocket, just the way
Yeah.
the original Razr did. And then it folds open, and once it's open, it's a normal smartphone, just like your Android.
It's an ergonomically brilliant design, Jason. There's no question about it. If it was $800, I would have said, yeah, go get this thing. But,
yeah, absolutely.
maybe,
But in doing that design and pricing at $1,500, it's brilliant because people are going to buy it, people are going to use it, granted a very small subset of users, but it
yes.
allows them to test that hinge that looks great. It allows them to test the longevity of that display and how many times it's going to fold, because let's be real, this phone's going to be folded a lot more than the Galaxy Fold. That thing has a
Yes.
screen on the front where you could do quite a bit. The front display on the Razr, you can do some, but if you want to do anything really complicated or even browse Twitter, you're going to have to open the phone. You want to take a phone call, you have to open it. And yes, when you close it shut, it'll hang up, and it has that same thud sound that the original Razr did when you would hang it up, hang up your call. It sounds great. It was really nostalgic to sit there and open and close it and act like I was talking on the phone. So,
Jason, this is an incredibly futuristic device, and it's been a long time since I've been able to use a product and say, wow, I live in the future.
yeah,
Right? We use our iPhones all the time. The technology capabilities of the iPhone 11 are amazing.
sure.
In terms of capability to me, but I mean, this sort of slab of glass thing is kind of played itself out, right?
Well, it
I don't know
hasn't
how
changed much.
it can't really get better.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you could put this 4K. You can reduce the amount of energy consumption. You can put a thumbprint reader underneath. There's other things you can do with it, but you can't fundamentally change the fact that this is a single piece of glass.
yeah. The form factor, how you use it on a day-to-day basis has not changed from iPhone 1 to iPhone 11. We still interact with it the same way. Sure, the screens have gotten bigger, processors have gotten faster,
Yeah.
but that user interaction has not changed. And foldable phones have the potential to do that. And right now, I think the Galaxy Fold and the Mate X from Huawei are almost intimidating, because not only
Yeah.
have you changed how you interact with the phone by having a foldable screen, but users are told you could have multiple windows open, you can multitask and do all this other stuff, or you could just have a really big Twitter or Facebook window open. Where
Yeah.
that's a shift in thinking and the approach on what I want to do when I open that device to use it. Whereas with the Razr, it's open it and use it as you normally do, and let us prove this technology, refine it, get the costs down over the next couple of years, and then figure out how people want to use it going forward. I feel like the Fold and other competing foldable devices have kind of got out ahead of themselves. Instead of figuring out what users want and will do, they're kind of trying to shove it at users and say, well, let's make it work. Whereas the Razr is saying, let's see what people do.
Yeah, and like I said, and this foldable screen technology is space age type stuff that
Sure.
we are going to need. We need to continue to develop,
Yeah.
whether it's for folding phones or for visors and AR devices and other application stuff. You put in the windshield of your car or heads-up displays. All these things, we need to develop this technology, regardless of whether it takes off on a folding phone or not. So I'm glad that we now finally have a mass market device that people will be able to experience this with. And I'm looking forward to finally getting my hands on one and actually playing with one at a store. I may not buy one of the things, but I still want to play with one just because of curiosity factor, right? So.
Yeah. I'm an AT&T subscriber, have been for years. I don't see myself switching to Verizon just to try the Fold or the Razr, I'm sorry. But if it was on AT&T, I probably would give it a long, hard look just to see what that interactive dynamic would be like over a long term. When we get review devices, it's usually for a week or two at a time, unless we personally buy them. And it's hard to get that 3-month use scenario on how it's going to hold up. I definitely would give the Razr a long, hard look and thought about whether or not I'd fork over $1,500 to give it a shot. I'm really intrigued to see what happens when it launches.
And I'm really happy to finally see Motorola back in the limelight as an engineering concern, right? Because,
Yep.
you know, when I used to work for IBM, you know, I used to have Motorola as a customer. I used to go down to the Schaumburg facility in Chicago, outside Chicago, where they have a huge mobile device testing complex, and
They've actually moved that downtown. It's right on the river in Chicago now. I've been there many times.
Oh, they moved it, but
Yeah.
it's still a huge engineering concern.
Tons of people,
and
sophisticated stuff.
Yeah, huge. They've got lots of expertise among making mobile devices, and you know their last couple of regular smartphones. I mean, the G7, the G6. They've been inexpensive. They've been nice, decent phones for the money, but they have not been sexy. Sort of like wow, right? This brings the wow back to Motorola, and I'm finally happy to see that happen again.
And what better brand name to do it under than Razr?
There is no better brand name to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone knows what the Razr is. They've either heard stories from their parents if they're a millennial who are just now getting, into phones, or people like us. I worked at Verizon when Verizon started carrying the V2, Razr V2.
Yeah.
And we sold more of those phones than anything else the entire time I was there. We couldn't keep them in stock. It's a great phone. Any closing thoughts, Jason?
No, Jason. I mean, I wish the price was better. I wish they launched it with Android 10 as opposed to Android 9, but hopefully they'll update the device pretty soon.
In January, Android 10's been out for quite a few months. It makes sense.
Yep.
All right. For Jason Perlow, I'm Jason Cipriani. Once again, this was Jason Squared. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the new Motorola Razr. Are you in? Are you out? Foldable screens appealing to you? They're appealing to me now. They weren't before. Love to hear your thoughts. And make sure to check more of our content out at zdnet.com.